Everyone thinks a giant floating screen fixes everything in your dash, but here is the thing, a 9-inch display can make your cockpit worse unless the hardware and software are rock solid. That is exactly why the Alpine Halo9 iLX-F309 surprised me. Because while the internet screams bigger is better, my testing showed build quality, tuning tools, and integration matter way more than pixels alone. I put this unit through 2 weeks of commuting, highway runs, phone calls, bright midday sun, and late-night drives, and what I discovered was not what I expected. Some things blew me away, some made me pause. And one detail changed how I think about floating screens entirely. Before we dive into what I discovered, quick heads up. If you are already leaning toward the Halo9 and want the best current price, the link is below. But stick around because a couple of quirks could save you money or nudge you to a better fit. I needed a fix. My daily driver has a single DIN slot, 0 factory nav, and a mess of cables snaking from a vent-mounted phone. Sunglare made maps useless. Cheap Android head units I tried before lagged, crashed, and felt like toys. I wanted big screen CarPlay and Android Auto, real audio controls, and a clean install that did not block climate knobs. I also needed reliability for hands-free work calls. Alpine's Halo9 kept popping up with its 9-inch capacitive screen, HD radio, Sirius XM readiness, and iDataLink Maestro support to keep my vehicle info. I was skeptical. A floating slab that looks amazing in photos can wobble, glare, and choke on software in real life, so I went in ready to be annoyed. First, I tested the physical install and fit. The Halo9 single-DIN chassis slipped into a standard aftermarket dash kit. The floating screen mounts to the chassis and lets you fine-tune height, depth, and angle, which matters if your vents or hazard buttons sit close. In my car, I raised it slightly and tilted it back a touch. It looked factory-ish. I pushed on the corners over bumpy roads to check wobble. Minimal, not tablet-level rigid, but way more solid than the knockoff rigs I have used before. But then I noticed this, the 9-inch panel will overshadow tiny dash buttons in some cars. Measure your layout before you commit. Next up, daytime visibility and touch response. The Halo9 uses a 9-inch WVGA capacitive panel. Translation: it is responsive and smooth to swipe, but the resolution is 800x480. Maps, album art, and icons are big and easy to hit, but not razor-sharp like newer 720p or 1080p screens. In bright sun with the brightness cranked, it stayed readable. Glare is there if your windshield angle is brutal, but the tilt adjustment helps. The capacitive layer felt great. No mush, but here is where it gets interesting. If you are coming from a modern phone or a higher-res competitor, you will notice the softness in fine map text. Then I hammered CarPlay and Android Auto. Both are wired on the iLX-F309 via a rear USB. Boot time from ACC to usable screen hovered under 15 seconds for me, and CarPlay came up consistently after plugging in. No random disconnects during a week of city trips. Phone calls sounded clean through the included external mic once I tweaked mic gain. Switching between Maps, Spotify, and Messages was quick. But then, the single USB became a mild annoyance on road trips when my passenger also wanted to charge fast. If you live wireless, you will miss that here. Audio tuning was where Alpine flexed. Out of the box, the internal amp is typical aftermarket power in the 1820W RMS range per channel. I ran it first on stock speakers, then through an amp using the 3 sets of pre-outs. HD radio pulled local stations with clarity, and Sirius XM support is there if you add the SXV300 tuner. The built-in EQ, crossovers, and time correction let me dial in stage and tame door panel rattles. After about an hour of tuning, the front stage locked in and the bass stopped stepping on vocals. But then I found a limitation. If you are expecting pro-level DSB, you will need an external processor. For most daily drivers, though, the tools here are more than enough. For integration, the iDataLink Maestro support made a difference. With the module, I kept steering wheel controls and pulled some vehicle info to the screen. That is a big perk if you hate losing factory features. Backup camera integration was plug-and-play with a single camera input, popping up fast when I shifted into reverse. Little touches like that make the whole system feel OEM-like. My biggest surprise was not what played on screen, but how the screen sat in the car. The adjustable mount is the unsung hero. I expected the 9-inch slab to feel like an afterthought. Instead, it let me design a layout that cleared vents, minimized glare, and still felt cohesive. That is the real magic of the Halo 9 form factor. I spent real time living with it: daily commutes, late-night tuning sessions, phone calls on rough roads, and it never once crashed or glitched. Compared to cheaper floating screens I have tested, Alpine's stability and audio tools are on another level. Here is the catch: the resolution is dated. On a panel this big, WVGA is obvious when you stare at tiny street names. And no wireless CarPlay or Android Auto means you are tied to a cable. At the price these still sell for, competitors like Sony's floating units or Alpine's newer models offer higher-res screens and wireless for not much more. But the F309 pushes back with build quality, a clean capacitive touch, strong radio performance, and reliable integration. If you value stability, tuning, and a premium look more than specs on paper, it earns its 4-star crowd reputation on Amazon. Now that you know the biggest win is the rock-solid mount and integration, and the trade-off is resolution and wired-only, grab it before stock fluctuates. I will drop the best current price in the description. Check the fit notes for your car and snag a dash kit and Maestro while you are at it. Bottom line, the Alpine Halo9 iLX-F309 is a killer way to get a giant modern interface into a single DIN slot without turning your dash into a science project. Buy it if you want a stable floating screen, wired CarPlay or Android Auto that just works, strong audio tuning, and OEM-friendly integration. Skip it if you need wireless, multiple USB ports, or a super crisp high-res display. For the right driver, it is the sweet spot between clean aesthetics and everyday reliability. Big screen confidence with Alpine's brains behind it.